My name is Lucas Robinson with Venia Lighting. 10 years in e-commerce. The last 4 years we've been selling street lights. My company roots go back to 2005-06. I was selling street lights, mailboxes, and other development products to developers during the real estate boom. When that business stopped, when the real estate boom stopped, I started an e-commerce store and started from scratch. And since then, well, I'll tell you more about it, but we started e-commerce 10 years ago, street lighting, selling it online 4 years ago. And I'll walk you through what we're doing. So the problem we're looking to solve in the market is inefficiency when it comes to LED lights or street lights in general. So our primary product is street lights. So they're very inefficient unless they've been converted over to LED. You can save 50 to 60% on power consumption if you convert to LED. At the same time, if you go to a smart lighting for a city or a business, you can save an additional 10 to 15% by timing those lights, having motion sensing in the lights, adjusting based upon movement. So you can maybe just have 2 a.m., maybe you just want 20% of the luminance and the watt is being used, whereas during high volume parts of the day, you could actually increase your luminance on the ground. So inefficiencies, lack of transparency in the market. So currently, if you're looking to retrofit the lights for your business or for your municipality, you're going through multiple companies, whether it's to buy the fixtures, to talk to technology companies, to software companies, all of which the pricing you would go through a salesperson. And so there's just not a real transparency. If you're a business and you're looking to research this market, you're not just going to go online and get copious information that's transparent with pricing. We're looking to solve that. And then we're looking to offer a full stack solution. So offer products, fixtures, technology, deployment services, all in one spot. Our solution consists of, well, some anchor points for our solutions. Customer first. Again, this gets back to transparency. We're currently, our core competency in e-commerce is that we're a customer first company. We don't have any material that our customer service reps or any of our employees use that isn't customer facing. We would look to do the same thing in this business, where if it's a material that a sales rep has, whether it's pricing, installation, whatever it is, we're making customer facing. So lots of content, and that's another core competency of ours as an e-commerce company, is lots of content. Wide product selection. We currently have, we started with a dozen light fixtures, and we'll talk about some of the numbers we're doing with a dozen light fixtures. We're in the process of expanding to 6,000 SKUs in the lighting business. So we're expanding our product selection, and we're also partnering with a number of technology companies. And technologies in lighting, not to go too much in depth for time's sake, but technology in lighting, it's really a software platform now when it comes to smart lighting. Cities specifically use the lighting grid for their deployment of smart technology. So whether that's gunshot monitors or just simple counters as people walk under the lights that have more analytic abilities, we'll be offering those offerings as well. And then that kind of goes into the end-to-end IoT solutions, IoT being Internet of Things. Again, not to go too much into the detail, but a street lighting, whether it's for a business, say a car lot, or for a municipality, the street lighting network is the IoT network for the business or for the city, because the light's ubiquitous, and it's a good high point to put out a mesh network which you can run all your services off of. Quick company overview. Currently I have 3 companies. My existing e-commerce business, which primary focus has been mailboxes over the years, the lighting business, which we've ramped up over the last 4 years, and we have a staffing and consulting company. We're in the process of putting all 3 of these companies into a holding company, which we're raising funds for. Why my team? 10 years e-commerce business, as I said. Potentially the largest online reseller of decorative streetlights as far as net specific niche. Expanding our core product line to over 1,000 products, as I mentioned, in the process of developing full stack solutions for smart cities and businesses, as well as eventually offering deployment services for those applications. A little bit about the market. 280 million streetlights, 280 million LED streetlights will be added over the next 10 years, so it's a huge growing market. The streetlight market is estimated to be a $39.8 billion market by year 2022. This chart, which I don't think actually has, well, it's by millions either way. You can see it's quite the growth trend from where it is now, but that certainly has already started, and it's pretty unanimous, the consensus that this market is going to ramp up, because it's basically just a dry powder at the moment waiting to explode, because everything's in place for it. Business model. So currently product sales are our business model. We're sticking with our core competency. We want to sell products. Eventually, we're already in a process of communicating with and making partnerships with many IoT product software and hardware solutions, and we're looking to build an IoT marketplace. So we can take our hard products, like a street light, and sell it with fully integrated product solutions. So if you buy, a city could have the option to buy a sample or demo kit if they want to buy a street light. Maybe they want to actually integrate some of the IoT product solutions with it. We'll have it, again, a core competency of ours is selling complicated products online with all the options customers can buy at checkout, many times without calling in. For example, we sell many $20,000 streetlight packages without a phone call. It's because there's so much information on the website and they're just selecting what they need and they're buying it. And that's basically a daily occurrence for us. So offering an IoT product solution is going to be along those same lines. A lot of complicated information, but presented the best way we can, and letting customers get familiar with the product, do their own shopping. Feel free to call in. We put our phone number everywhere. But offering those solution kits as part of our business model, and then eventually getting into actually IoT product development and deployment. So again, the business model, stick with what we do well, and eventually work our way into the IoT space to learn that market, and then to expand into that market. Customer acquisition, I'll quickly here, basically pay-per-click, a lot of content marketing. We do have inside sales and a value-added reseller network. Combined financials with our entities. Essentially, we did about $12 million last year. It's basically a break-even business. We ramped up. We're at projected right now about 35 to 40% growth year over year. Specifically in lighting, we're at 250% up. So our lighting side of our business is where we're growing. And we're actually put some good meat on the bones in the bottom line this year. And in expanding our existing mailbox business, we're looking at about 30% year-over-year growth, but the lighting business is growing at triple digits over the next few years and has been for the last 2 years. Milestones to date, 14 million overall sales the last 12 months, million in lighting sales run rate. Average first-time customers, a $1,250 transaction. Average repeat customers, actually twice that. 25% of our customers are repeat customers. And one of our primary key metrics that we focus on a day-to-day basis is cost per acquisition, and we're keeping that above, below 8% of our actual revenue, which is a key metric for us internally. Over the next 2 years, we're looking to develop a full-stack solution for the IoT marketplace, add deployment services and management services, and ramp up to $3 million in IoT product sales web revenue. Our goal being that if we can position ourselves on where we are a leader in the space of online sales for IoT products and services in the smart city and lighting lighting for businesses in smart cities, if we can position ourselves there and be a content leader online, we can position ourselves well for an exit or acquisition. Because again, just being in that spot, we don't necessarily know where the road leads after that. If we can get positioned there, we're a content leader, we're a sales leader online, we'll become a brand in the space, we'll be an acquisition target, or we'll be positioned well to accelerate into an area of that business as that market evolves. Our current ask is $2.2 million at a $14.6 million valuation. We're looking to, essentially if you go through these, we're looking to basically do what we're doing currently better. We're not looking to get into software development or anything other than more web development, more content development, more sales and operations, more capital for inventory. And so basically looking just to put more fuel on the fire of what we already have going on. And that's it.
You're about 2 minutes over, but that's all right. We're
We're
softer here. We don't buzz you. So we always like to start off by asking, how can this community help you?
So we are looking for good contacts and relationships in the IoT space. We are working with a number of consultants, and we are going to be employing some engineers in-house. But like I mentioned in that last slide, we're looking for investment dollars not to go into software engineering. When we start selling IoT products on our marketplace, we want to have some internal engineering and some good consultancy around us so that we can make sure we are doing that correctly. And then once we do get traction in the IoT marketplace, we do look to bring those services in-house. So basically that's where our pivot is into more technology, but we want to do it carefully. So I'm looking for good contacts in the IoT space, particularly in the lighting world.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right, so now I'll open it up to general questions. We have 12 minutes.
Okay.
Who's got a question?
Yes, sir.
Who is your team? I saw like there was a Why Us, but I didn't know who Us was.
So, all right, so my team, and there was a slide in the original pitch deck and I pulled it out, but we have 22 employees, okay. And 8 of which typically work here. They're a little bit disbanded at the moment. We have a warehouse in West Sac, and so some of them are there today. half of our team's local, half's distributed. Names, you know, we wouldn't necessarily know any of the names. We could go through it, but either way, we have web dev in-house, marketing in-house, all of our support's in-house. Our warehouse, we do have our own warehouse. We have warehouse management. Our first employee from 10 years ago is still with us. We literally, in the last 10 years, we've lost 5 employees. So as far as we're a very sticky company, and those 5, 2 or 3 of which I let go. So for the most part, employees aren't leaving. So that's kind of our team.
Awesome.
Yes?
Your IoT marketplace, what are some examples of additional products or services that could be on the platform in addition to what you provide?
Yeah, so if you're, let's just say if you're a city, which is the most common use, at least the most well-known, there's IoT services and software services like ShotSpotter, the one I mentioned. You also could have analytics for the city. There's the potential, and we eventually want to create some products ourselves, you know, the concept of having, well, again, analytics for a city, people can see where the traffic's at, of pedestrians, but also vehicles. Maybe even speed as it goes by, right? So you could end up where you could say if you had a Google map and what if you had a Google, it looked like a Google map, but it was actually a heat map for a city manager of the speeds in a city, right? You could then make decisions saying, hey, on average, people are 5 minutes over the speed limit here, or you know, here's the times that we are concerned here. So you actually manage a city based upon you know, the speed of vehicles with collecting that type of data. Currently, there's it's pretty common to see maybe a ditch drainage monitor that's installed in a ditch just to detect flooding or if a ditch is backed up, and that is being typically Bluetooth connected to a street light, which can, you know, through the mesh network is getting backlogged or backhauled to the internet, and so the city will know, hey, my ditches are drained out. Or commonly, if say if a light's burning too bright or too hot, right, they can have predictive maintenance. So if you have predictive maintenance, you actually can then start to predict with some predictive analytics if your lights are going to go out. So instead of going out and saying, hey, a couple lights are out here and there, you can actually have some predictive analytics to say, we're going to batch it every month, and ahead of time we're going to replace 20 lights across the 15,000 lights or 1,500 lights in the city. We're going to replace those 20, so you essentially could eliminate or give a much better, almost never have a light out potentially, I guess theoretically, if you're predicting things well. And you certainly would know if the light did go out. Other services being like if copper wires being installed out, you can have detection if copper wires being installed, which has been a problem for the city of Sac a few years back. That certainly was a problem there where people were stealing the wire and selling it, hawking it. Yes, sir.
So I'm on a board at a townhome complex, and we're going under the process of upgrading our lights to LED lights.
Okay.
And it's a huge problem, and it's very expensive.
Right.
And there's nothing yet that has, I don't know, the technology to detect when a light goes out, like you were just saying. So we have to pay $100 for every visit when a light goes out for them to come and fix it.
Right.
So this seems like a pretty revolutionary thing where you don't have to pay those service fees. And
Yeah, well, we should definitely talk afterwards. And so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely technology out there that will let you know if the light's gone out, and
Yeah.
can let you know. So are you paying for someone to come out and just monitor, or when someone reports it, then you're paying?
So yeah, somebody reports it, then they charge us $100 for the visit to change a light bulb.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's definitely connect.
We're all in the wrong business.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So one more question. You talk about, going forward, mesh networks deployment. Typically, mesh networks have been unsecure. As you look forward, how are you combating that security aspect of it? So, if you have deployed this to 20% of streetlights, that some foreign entity doesn't turn them off, or
Right. So, getting into security issues, to be clear, where we're at in our business cycle, and that's why we're not getting into becoming a software company. We're going to be brokering with companies, hence why we'll launch the marketplace. And a lot of these companies have launched full deployments. And so really our position is going to be is eliminating those positions, and from a content standpoint, putting up as much content as we can about security concerns and issues, and talking about it and fleshing it out, and actually having a conversation in the ecosystem of what are the solutions. So I don't have a direct answer for what that solution is, but I think it's an important point that we will bring those issues to light as best we can, so that when people are researching it, we're a source of the answer and the content and the information. Do we have time?
No, we still got a lot of time.
All right.
But I have a question.
Yep.
So primarily like municipalities, cities, those are the customers that you're going after? Is that the main market that you're?
So our current, and we currently track it by buyer personas, and our current buyer personas, interesting enough, are not those large customers. We do have some small cities that are buying 10, 20, 50 lights. But honestly, right now, where our buyer personas are at are event venues, resorts, property management, or HOAs. And so again, I think it took some time for us to get to this realization is that over the next year, we're focused on those guys because we feel like we can ride that up, probably 5-10x where we're at right now. And at the same time, we'll be slow. We're already having conversations with cities, and we want to go after that market. But from just a strategic standpoint, we want to go after these buyer personas that we already are hitting. We're striking the right notes for them, and then we'll go after the.
And they make faster decisions.
They make faster decisions. It's better for our business model, right? They're able to just buy.
So how do you
website.
find those customers?
At this point, they're all finding us. And so, part of our growth and part of our budget is to expand our sales team. We are partnering with Clayton actually on some efforts right now to expand sales. And so we're excited to do that. But right now, we're literally 100% inbound. So people are literally finding us through, 25% of our traffic and revenue comes from organic traffic. Another 25 is repeat, and the other half is paid marketing.
When you first got into e-commerce, how long did it take to make money, and what have you learned since you started?
So we launched the website in 2007. I probably just my wife and I. I tell people there were periods in 2008 where we lived in a condo in Florida, and I didn't literally go to the ground floor for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, where we just worked. So that's one thing I learned is there's a lot of just work up front. Sometime around late 2008, so probably a year into it, we broke even, and that just meant we made a few $1,000s a month to live on. And then we broke even, and then it's just been kind of a scaling process from there. Yes, sir.
Do you think you could scale on Amazon, taking it to more consumers? Like the other product?
Yeah, so you might know better than me, but I know this is an area of expertise for you. But what I do know about Amazon, I know from our existing e-commerce business, is that a lot of our that original business let me rephrase this. If it's our own product, our own private label, our own OEM, our own brand, sure, we'll sell it on Amazon and we'll look to grow it. It's never been a focus. Less than 1% of our revenue comes from Amazon. I am interested in partnering with maybe someone like yourself or companies that do well on Amazon to grow our brands on Amazon. It's not our core competency, it's not our focus. I think it's an area that we easily should be able to get into. But I say that we're very aware, and if we're reselling product, then we don't even really touch Amazon, because the last thing we want to do is pump them full of good data in our niche.
You briefly mentioned that you're creating a holding company. What's the purpose of the holding company?
Well, essentially, we feel like there's good synergies between our 3 companies, and so it's a vehicle to bring them all together. And so one's an e-commerce company, one's basically the Venia products. There's all of our imports and our own private labels and our own brands, and then the other one's a staffing company. And spare you the backstory to kind of how we got into that, but that's what we have today, 10 years later, and so we just need to bring those under one umbrella so we can share resources. Yes, sir.
Are you seeing your developer customers come back, your real estate developers with the Folsom Ranch, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that is definitely one of the top 5 personas that is a repeat. Our developers, and they're very good customers because they buy one. Yes, sir.
Are there any changes in the regulatory market that are going to potentially help accelerate this as an opportunity, both or something that you might want to see in the regulatory market that would help your company grow at this kind of race that you would like to see?
I don't know offhand at this point. I'm so kind of my nose down to the nose to the grindstone that I'm not even looking at, other than reading headlines. There probably are things that are bills that are in for consideration that would help our business and regulations that would benefit us. I think it's only going to move in the right direction, because this is all about, obviously this isn't a company that has any underpinnings in coal or anything else, right? This is all efficiency, cost savings, and LED. Everything's moving this direction, it would seem, and so unless we just have some really backwards policies, I would think that we're going to be, I get some chuckles, but yeah, that we'll be moving in a direction that's beneficial for our company.
So The city of Sacramento is launching, I don't know if you call it a program or initiative, called the Sacramento Urban Technology Lab. And one of the vertical focuses is on IoT. And I just wondered how connected you are with the city of Sacramento right now, particularly the Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship.
So it is on our radar, but we are not connected at all at the moment, other than I have contacts that are offering those introductions, and we're just, it's just a matter of kind of bandwidth. I don't want to necessarily have those introductions and then not do anything with them, and we're in the middle of putting together the fundraising, and as part of our bigger strategy here is to pivot into some e-commerce IoT product sales before we actually get hands on the ground with the city. So I say probably over the next quarter we'll start just having more conversations with cities, and that would be the good timing for us, because we're thinking second half of next year we want to be start giving that more focus, right? Just trying not to get too far ahead of ourselves.
And I like that answer. A lot of times we see founders who take a shotgun approach to what's out there, and they don't focus on one particular area.
And I'm certainly guilty of that, right, at times, but then usually through enough consideration and thoughtfulness, we kind of step back and say, okay guys, let's really hone in here and be more that concept of like a fire hose can go through a brick wall, but you spray it out, you're not getting through anything.
I have one more question just about kind of your process. Do you own the actual manufacturing of the lights, or are you buying them like at wholesale?
We are buying them directly from factories in China for the most part. And, we do have some other products that we buy out of Europe, but we're importing a few things. Some of those, the majority of what we're importing, we're private labeling. They're OEM relationships with the factories in China, and so that's an area for us to grow into as well. As we get more volume and scale, I wouldn't know where to begin as far as having a factory of my own in China. I've been to many factories in China. I've worked in factories for weeks at a time, developing some of our own products, but currently we don't own any infrastructure there.
Okay. I might know, well, I do know a guy that you might have a synergy with. He actually did internal LED lighting for the luxury homes, but there might be a synergy between production.
I'd be very interested in that introduction. Thank you.
Sure.
With developing
Last
products,
question. You can have them.
with developing products in China, how do you protect your intellectual property?
Well, who is essentially our in-house counsel right now, her specialty is trademarks and intellectual property protection. So, now, to answer your question, I don't necessarily know what the best practice is, other than, fortunately for us, we are doing what we can. So we are trademarking our stuff in the U.S. and in China. So we are filing trademarks in China. That's all I know to do. That's all I'm being counseled to do. But we are doing that.
Trademarks, thank you.
So kudos for getting a good lawyer to take care of that. Thank you very much for this. And